right, hello everybody. Welcome. Thank you for being here. We're really excited that you're here to learn about the solar co-op that we're launching for the 4th year in a row now. So my name is Lee Valenzuela. I'm with the City and County of Denver in the Office of Climate Action, Sustainability, and Resiliency. So I just want to welcome you all here. Thank you for coming to learn about solar options, our solar incentives, all of that. We'll have a bunch of other speakers throughout the course of the evening talking about the co-op and other programs that can be paired with the co-op. But in general, our office, Climate Action, Sustainability, and Resiliency, we love working with Sun on this program because it's a way to make solar more available to residents of Denver. And that's something we definitely support. As part of this program, we also have our Solar Equity Rebate. So that's up to $8,000 for people who might not otherwise be able to afford getting solar. So if you think that you fit in that category, we have a bunch of flyers around with more information. I would definitely recommend that you look into that. And yeah, just thank you all for being here. And I will let Bryce come on now and do his intro as well.
Lee. My name is Bryce Carter. I am the Colorado Program Director with Solar United Neighbors, and just really am excited to be here with you all today. This will be launching our 4th solar co-op for the City and County of Denver, and it's been quite a journey. Since we launched, we've helped engage hundreds of people from the community across multiple events, even through COVID, and we've been able to help 99 families and even some small businesses go solar in Denver. And so that amounts to 589 kilowatts worth of solar capacity that is going on top of people's roofs, and even 67 kilowatts worth of battery capacity. So we're building not only toward our sustainability goals, but building resiliency right in our backyards. Our program so far have helped invest over $1.7 million into the local economy, but those investments are projected to save $2.7 million over the lifetime of those systems. So we're not only building our impact, but we know when it comes to climate change, as we endure yet another heat wave, it's important to support our offsets. So combined so far, we've helped offset 13,000 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. So we're making progress, and we know we need to do more. From our work so far, we know that the benefits of solar aren't accessible to all. And so we are really excited to be able to expand our impact with the announcement of the Solar Equity Rebate Program. This is a program in partnership with the City and County of Denver, where households that are at 100% area median income or have participated in an energy equity program can qualify for $8,000 off of the cost of their solar system. In addition, as you'll hear in a minute, one of our organizations that we're working with is the Colorado Clean Energy Fund. And they have created a new product that is being offered to our members that will also help make solar investments more accessible. So we're excited to share that along with other speakers tonight as well. So with that, 30 households will be supported with this program. And we also have additional hardship funding. So if folks, if they need to upgrade a panel or if they need to do roof repair, we want to be able to expand this program and its impact.
Great, thanks. My name is Jeff King. I'm a Senior Business Development Manager for the Colorado Clean Energy Fund, which Bryce had just referenced. And I appreciate everybody coming out first and foremost, I suppose, on tonight to hear us out. But I'm with CCEF, as we're known, Colorado Clean Energy Fund. We're essentially serving as the state's green bank. And if you're not familiar with the green bank movement nationally, it's really the idea of bringing together and creating at state level a financial institution that's providing affordable financing, usually gap-filling financing for clean energy projects. And so CCEF was recently created in earnest about last fall. So we're kind of getting up and running now. And we're going to be rolling out a bunch of financial products meant to be gap-filling. So those who are having, accessibility, accessing financing, or more harder to reach communities, things like that, that's kind of where green banks operate. And so that's where we are at with CCEF. We are a relatively new organization, as I just mentioned, and there's only 4 of us right now, but we are growing. And despite that, we do have a pretty robust suite of financial products, primarily in the residential and commercial space right now. And in a second, I'll talk about some of our residential offerings that would pertain to folks in the co-op. But we also are looking to expand beyond residential and commercial, probably into clean transportation, et cetera. So that's kind of a little bit of background on the organization. Today, I'll just kind of briefly highlight, I'm only spending a couple minutes up here today, but I'll just briefly highlight 2 of our financial products that pertain to folks looking to go solar here in Colorado and certainly within the co-op here in Denver. The first is our residential energy upgrade loan. It's called the Renew loan. RENU is the acronym. And I do have collateral for Renew in the second product that I'll mention in a second on our on the table back there. So if anyone wants to grab that or talk more about that, happy to do so. But our Renew loan is it's a statewide loan program for homeowners looking to make qualifying energy upgrades on their homes, and this certainly would include solar as well as battery storage, EV charging, and then a bunch of energy efficiency measures. So if you're looking to do qualifying energy measures, Renew could be an option. It's delivered through Colorado-based credit unions, and we have 3 partnering credit unions right now. It's Elevations Credit Union, Westera Credit Union, and Clean Energy Credit Union. So they're the ones who are providing the financing. The flip side, we have a network of authorized contractors throughout the state. At one point, it's up to 170. We just kind of did a refresh on that contractor base, but we have contractors operating throughout the state. Oftentimes, every solar installer that's active in Denver and is considered for co-ops is a Renew authorized contractor, and they're the ones who do the installations themselves. So that's kind of the Renew umbrella. Program has been operational since December of 2017. And just to throw a few numbers out there, in that time, about 4.5 years, we've done over 2,000 loans across the state, about 40 million in financing, and this is all local investment going to local contractors from local lenders, and we've installed about over 10 megawatts of residential solar capacity through that. So it's a pretty decently long-standing flagship program of CCEF. But having said that, we do know Renew, based on the 4.5 years of data that we have, there are some shortcomings with that, specifically in terms of making inroads with the LMI, low to moderate income communities. And so in response to that, Bryce had just referenced this, but this is kind of our more official formal announcement of the Solar Equity Loan. So the second product I want to talk about, separate and distinct from the Renew loan program, the Solar Equity Loan is a income-based loan product available to homeowners seeking solar with having met the 100% area median income qualification or lower, and that's tiered based on family size. So folks looking to meet those qualifications ultimately could be eligible for this financing. Again, I have more details on the sheet back there, but it is a 4.99 fixed rate over up to 20-year term, up to $20,000 in financing. So this is available to folks participating in the Denver Solar Co-op. So it's a pretty exciting new product that we're hoping is going to make some good inroads into the LMI community. And it was really designed with attempting to achieve cash flow neutral or cash flow positive projects by having that low interest rate handled out over 20 years. So it's an effort to do that, and it also allows homeowners to go solar with no out-of-pocket. So those are kind of the 2 products in a highlight. And like I said, there's more information on our flyers. I'll be sitting back there if folks have questions or want to chat more about that. But hopefully we're trying to get our name out there as a new organization, as the state's green bank, and our demonstration to our attempt to provide financing and accessible financing for folks all across the state. So thank you. Thanks for coming up.
And I'm Susan Graff. I'm with Alpine Bank. We're a Colorado community bank, and we're independent and employee owned, one of those rare breeds out there. And we have a really strong commitment not only to our communities but to the environment. So we offer discounted green loans for people who are doing projects in their homes or businesses. We have a very strong environmental management system for our own bank. And then we really love to support partners that are doing amazing things like this. So we've worked with Solar United Neighbors on projects throughout Colorado and other communities that we operate in, and we're really excited to be here tonight and providing dinner. And I also have some solar-themed sunglasses, sunscreen, lip balm, all the things that you don't need on a night like tonight, but step by the table and pick some up.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight. My name is Susan Beta, and I am the Development Director at Energy Resource Center. We are a nonprofit that was founded in Colorado Springs in 1979 when they started talking about energy conservation. And over the years, we have now grown to a $16 million nonprofit that serves 27 counties in Colorado. So what we do is we provide free, really free energy efficiency upgrades to low-income people. So let me talk a little bit about what weatherization actually is and what ERC actually does. A weatherization process starts with an energy auditor coming to the home and determining what work is necessary to make this property completely energy efficient. So that could be a new furnace, appliances, insulation, weather stripping, carbon and smoke detectors, carbon dioxide and smoke detectors. I mean, everything you can think of. So that also includes solar panels and heat pumps today. This is important because as a result, low-income families can save up to 25% on their utility bills. This lessens the load on coal-fired fossil fuel plants. It also protects affordable housing, because we all know that affordable housing stock is at risk. And we do things like mitigate health issues. Community safety is improved because you don't have your neighbor pulling out the stove in the winter to heat the house. So there are a lot of important outcomes that are a result of weatherization and home energy efficiency upgrades. And maybe one of the most important to everyone here on the planet is that we remove tons of carbon dioxide and greenhouse gases from the atmosphere every year. And we are so pleased to be part of this project. We have been partners with the City and County of Denver for many years. It's nice to be with Solar United neighbors, and we look forward to participating in this program. Our role, we are the tools and trucks that provide weatherization. Our role in this particular situation is to help people qualify for the program and for the rebates. So all you need to do is get out there and call our Denver office. We do expect that low income qualification is at 80% of the state median income. So we are happy to help people step them through the process. Please call our office at 720-236-1321. And if you have any questions at all, then ERC folks will be able to help you. Thanks very much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chelsea Gaines. I'm with Grid Alternatives, and I have come to talk about the side of the program that is free. So, but a little bit before I get there, a little bit about Grid Alternatives is we are a company that exists because we wanted to make the transition to renewable energy more equitable and more accessible for folks. So, as you guys know, I know a lot of you guys are here tonight. You probably have looked into solar in the past, and you probably saw the price point and were like, yikes. So why Grid exists is because we wanted to, one, help empower homeowners to add value to their home, but also to have savings to place into other things, whether it's professional development, sending your kids off to college, all the things. So that's the first point of Grid Alternatives. The second part is we also do, we train people in the skill and trade of solar through a paid program. So that's a 6-week program, or it could be a 2-week program. And so those are the highlights of Grid. But why this is how this intersects with this program, with the rebate program, is again, we talked about that 100% AMI all the way down, right? But what does that look like? So the free side of the program exists for people who are 80% AMI or below. What does that look like? So I have some metrics for you guys. So in the area for 80% AMI for a household of 4, it's around $89,400, right? So if you fall underneath that cap, you qualify for the free side of the program. And I wanted to say that because I think that's really awesome. And if you don't qualify for the free side of the program, this is still a really super awesome program regardless, because again of that cap with the $499 ARP loan, all those things. So yeah, we're just really excited to talk about that, and hope you guys are excited to learn more about it and to partner with agencies that we partner with frequently who do the work and they're great at the work. So you guys are in great hands. And if you go through ERC, you might come through us, and more importantly, you might hear me again. So I hope to see you guys all again one day. And thank you so much for coming tonight.
What does this mean? I want to go solar, but what level, etc. So anyone that wants to go solar can join for free for this solar co-op, no obligation. You get a proposal after one installer is selected, and you'll be able to then look at that proposal and decide if solar is right for you. Because it's a group-wide process, you'll realize savings. And then if you're interested, if you think you would qualify at 100% AMI or below, and for a family of 4, I believe that's $117,000 for the household income, then apply with our program. We have a link on our website. You'll be able to get in the queue, and then you'll send your income verification to the city. They'll verify if you're in that 80 to 100% AMI bracket. And then if you're below that, you'll be invited to participate within the programs that Energy Resource Colorado is offering, as well as Grid Alternatives. So really, we want to be able to be the one-stop shop to help people go solar and lift up all these opportunities to access all those benefits. So again, my name is Bryce Carter. I am the Colorado Program Director with Solar United Neighbors. And tonight, if I can get this to work, bear with me one second. There we go. We will be giving our solar information session. So what I wanted to start to say is that we can't do this work alone. And we're a nonprofit. We work within a variety of communities all across the state. And here in Denver especially, we are proud of collaborating with a variety of partners. First and foremost, of course, our relationship with the City and County of Denver, the Sustainable Neighborhoods Program, and then Energy Resource Center for the reasons you heard tonight. And then you can see many of these other partners that are on this list. It really takes a village to incorporate a program like this. But it also takes a lot of you in the audience to be able to help spread the word about the benefits and opportunity that this co-op is providing and building our impact. Solar United Neighbors is a vendor-neutral nonprofit organization. And what that means is for our theory of change, we have 3 main focuses. We help people go solar, and that's through the Solar Co-op program. And we help people join together, so doing community events just like this, doing educational outreach, doing tours, especially nowadays we know folks want to get out and have fun, so we're looking at other activities we can do. And then also fight for energy rights. So how do we advocate for making sure folks get their credit? So that's something that we're always working on to on the local level, state level, and even federal level to make sure that solar systems, you get that energy and you can get that full credit for what is you're producing on your rooftop. So our origin story, when we started, it was back in 2007, and our executive director before even the organization started, Anya Skillman and her son, Walter, and his friend Diego, they watched An Inconvenient Truth, and they were inspired to take some type of action to address climate change. And after thinking about it for a while, they decided that solar would be one of the best ways to go about it. And they didn't quite know where to start. So they said, let's invite some neighbors together and just see, what's it like to go solar, and, figuring out all the different pieces of, what's an inverter, how do you do the taxes, et cetera. And after 2 years of them inviting neighbors and going door to door and having that conversation, ultimately about 50 of those neighbors went together and were able to go solar with one installer, which realized some savings. And that was our very first solar co-op of our program. Since then, we have now grown to all 50 states in terms of our membership. We have reached 350 solar co-ops, and we have over 50 staff that are supporting our programmatic work. So our impact really has grown dramatically. And then just to share our national impact, so we've helped over 7,000 families, including small businesses, go solar, installing over 65 megawatts worth of capacity. And we're quickly approaching 1 million tons of carbon dioxide offset in terms of our impact. And then here in Colorado, we have helped over 340 families and small businesses go solar, installing 2.3 megawatts worth of solar capacity. I mean, that's starting to make a significant impact on the grid collectively. Everyone together has invested about $7 million worth of investments with rooftop solar, and that's projected to realize over $10.5 million of savings. So that's money that's going to be kept in the local community. We project that this work is helping create 37 jobs within the solar industry and will offset at least 50,500 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent offsets. So it really is growing to make a difference. But we as an organization know that typically when we look at rooftop solar, it's still a huge investment. There's a lot of barriers to be able to take advantage of the benefits of what we're talking about, resiliency, the cost savings, the environment. And so our job is how do we make solar more equitable? And you heard a lot about the Solar Equity Rebate, the Solar Equity Loan products that are coming out, which is really exciting. And we know that with our work, we want to be able to be collaborative in the community. We know when we transition to renewable energy economy, solar is not the answer, but it's a critical piece of the puzzle. And any place we can work and engage within the community, we're eager to be a partner. And so that's what our goal is helping work toward a fair and equitable energy system. So for this presentation, we'll focus on 3 core points. We're going to talk about solar technology, talk a little bit about the economics, and how the solar co-op process itself works. And I'll pause at each section just to answer any questions that folks have. So we'll kick off with solar technology. So when we talk about solar panels, solar photovoltaic, PV, photo being light, voltaic being power. Essentially, it's a technology that converts sunlight into electricity. The panels on the market right now are about 20% efficient. So that means 1/5 of the sunlight that hits them can be converted into electricity. And the technology is actually pretty straightforward. The way it works is you can get refined silicon in different wafers. And with the physics of it, as the sunlight hits it and the photons hit the silicon, you get an electron current. So those electrons want to go somewhere, and you can wire up these different cells together to collect that electron current. And so you have a one-directional direct current electricity that this panel is able to produce as the sun hits it. And so the rest of the panel is really protecting that physics process. So you have the glass and the frame to be able to secure it, and then you're good to go for decades in terms of the technology. As you have this panel put together, you can then combine the panels, and that's where you get your solar array or your solar system. A couple key things to note is we do talk about solar systems in terms of watts or kilowatts, a kilowatt being 1,000 watts. And just with this example, this is showing a 3 kilowatt or 3,000 watt solar system. So it's 10 300 watt panels. Now, when we talk about solar, the terms that are worth noting are kilowatts and kilowatt hours. I like to compare it to a car. So when you think about buying a car, you want to understand what its horsepower is. How much power do you get when you're going up the hill and you're using that full potential of the engine? Same thing as solar. Your kilowatt is your total capacity of your solar system. So if it's a sunny day, you're able to realize the full potential of the system. So in this case, with this 3 kilowatt solar system, that's if you put that on the sun and you have that full exposure for 2 hours, measuring that over time, kilowatt hours would be 6 kilowatt hours are produced. And so I equate that to similar to miles per gallon. So you're able to average out how much production, how much you use over time. Generally, a lot of folks we find in the Denver market especially have need between a 5 kilowatt to 7 kilowatt system, depending on your energy needs. Obviously, there's a lot of factors. So anything from electrification, heat pumps, moving toward an electric car, all of that will significantly impact your bill. So 5 to 7 kilowatt systems cover the average consumer, but we anticipate there'll probably need to be more coverage in the future as more and more houses electrify. So cool, you have your solar system, where do you put it? So ideally, your roof often is the best place. You can install it on an asphalt shingle roof. Here you can see you have the racking system that is securely put into the different awnings of the home. These connections are waterproofed and they're secure with our high winds and different weather loads. And you're good to go that way. If you have a metal roof, oftentimes you may not even need to have penetrations. You can actually just clamp on the system and it's good to go. If your roof doesn't work, you can also, if you have the yard space, install ground-mounted solar. Obviously, there are additional costs when you're talking about building the foundation and trenching the wiring for it. Then once you have your solar system installed and you're getting that direct current electricity going through it, you do need to convert that direct current into alternating current, which is electricity we use in our homes. And so an inverter is a technology that does that. And you can do it as a string inverter, which is one inverter for the entire system. or a microinverter, which is an inverter that's at each individual panel. For the most part, microinverters are becoming the common technology, but you can talk with your installer and explore those options for what's best for you. Then once you have that electricity, that alternating current can connect to your electrical panel. Oftentimes it is a simple connection. You usually don't need to have an upgrade before going solar. We have found in the Denver market, depending on how old your house is, you might need to upgrade your panel. We've had 1 or 2 cases where those power line periscopes needed to be raised. So if those upgrades are needed, we recommend it because it's a safety mechanism and important for safety for the home. And then otherwise, generally, again, not major changes are needed, but your installer will be able to look at it and let you know if something is needed. So all right, so you're able to produce this electricity. It's in your home. Your solar panels absorb the energy. You get the inverter converting the electricity, and then it goes to your electric meter. At that point, the electrons go wherever the demand is. So if you're watching TV or you're running your laundry or powering your car, that's where your solar electrons will go. If you don't have that demand at your home, all of the excess electricity is going to go back through your meter and onto the grid and power your neighbors' homes. And that policy that allows you to sell back to the grid is called net metering. Net metering, essentially, you get 1-to-1 credit up to 100% of your energy demand. And so when you sign up for the co-op, you will be asked for at least a year's worth of data of your consumption data for your electricity bill. And so the way it works is then once you do go solar, they'll show you how much electricity you bought from the grid over the last month. They'll show how much electricity that has been exported, and then the difference is what remains for your electric bill. And this is on top of the service fee. And for Excel, I think it's like $8 or $9 right now. What's important to note, though, is that this bill would not reflect the energy you use in your house. So your solar system produces so much, a portion of that gets used in the house, and then anything left over gets exported to the utility, and that's what they see. So if the numbers don't immediately add up, the difference is what you use in your home. So then part of what Solar United Neighbors does to help streamline the process is we do initial roof review to see, is your home good for solar? So first we look at roof orientation. Most desirable is having your roof facing south. That way you can get full advantage of the sun throughout the year. The next best place to put solar is actually on your western slope of your roof for 2 reasons. One is that tends to be when people use the most electricity. They come home, start cooking, they might start the laundry, et cetera, et cetera. And in addition, that same demand is on the whole grid. So Excel Energy is moving everyone to time of use, which I'll talk more about in a few minutes, which means that the cost of electricity is going to be more expensive in the later afternoon into early evening. So having a western exposed solar system, you're able to recoup your costs faster. We also make sure there's no shading or very little shading for your roof. If you have any shading, it's going to significantly impact the payoff for your solar system. So that's something to keep in mind. And lastly, making sure you have enough space for your solar panels. We look at least 200 square feet on a rooftop. And then certainly if you have the yard space for it, that's an option too. Another option is if you can't go solar on your property, there are options to sign up for community solar. There's a couple different models out there, but essentially you can buy solar panels or a share within a project of a community solar project and receive the credit back. And so the way it works is you subscribe to that project, you usually pay into it monthly. Sometimes it could be an annual subscription, and then you can get a credit back either for your bill or for your credit that's directly paid back to you. And this is coordinated both with your utility and to usually be reflective of your bill. There are a lot of different models, especially in Excel Energy territory. And so Solar United Neighbors, we are tracking what options there are. So we do have this resource for everybody, cs.solarunitedneighbors.org. You can look up what local projects are available. Generally though, it is more or less a premium product. So you pay a little bit extra to have that, unless you are, if you do have low to moderate income qualifications, there are some programs that allow you to realize greater savings with community solar. Now it's important to note, especially as we see the climate is changing, and it's important to think about how our grids are resilient. If you lose power, you will lose power. Your solar system is not able to keep the power on, and you're actually going to need a battery to keep the power on. There are some new systems that can keep some things on, but without battery backup, you're not going to have reliable power because a cloud could come over and impact your production. So Again, that's really something to think about. Now, you want to consider storage if you have frequent utility outages, if you have any critical loads that can never be offline, so things like well pumps, medical equipment, or even computer servers. And then I've added these second two because I myself just got a heat pump at my house, and with that lovely spring storm we had, a lot of tree branches were falling, and realized, oh, right, if we lose power, we lose heat. That's the problem. So if you want to think about electrifying your home, you're going to want to think about what does this backup look like? And in general, as we look at disaster preparedness. So that's something that, there's a lot of, the costs are shifting. We are seeing that there's going to be, I think, 13 gigafactories, so not just Tesla, but across the board being built in the United States. So we hope batteries pricing is going to come down in the years to come, but there remains a pretty high demand for them right now. The cost of the battery, I would say, is, as of right now, economically, it's not worth it as a standalone. It is a higher investment that's not necessarily going to pay itself off. So you're paying to have the battery for the backup service. At some point in the future, with incentives and with the way the grid is going to pay you for electricity over time, you might be able to recoup your costs just by leveraging that service to the grid, but we're not quite there yet with batteries. We also have an additional online resource, so solar-united-neighbors.org/storage, if folks want to look up any more information about that. So a quick example of how people think about storage is this is the Johnson's family. They do lose power several times a year, and when they lose their power, they lose it for pretty much an entire day. So for them, they decided that a 13.5 kilowatt hour battery bank was going to meet their needs. Their solar system is 6 kilowatts, and so they want to be able to recharge the battery bank. And especially if there's a weather event and there's no sun, they can keep the power on for an extra day if they don't have power. They prioritize the refrigerator and microwave, some of the lights and outlets, their cable modem to stay connected, and a small window air conditioner. And then they decide not to prioritize stove, dryer, and electric water heater because they realize they can live without those things for a day. So really, batteries, it's a personal option in terms of what you want to back up. We had one solar co-op member that had multiple electric vehicles and other, I think a couple hot tubs, and they just looked at battery banks like the limit is whatever you want to cover. So, but it is a significant increase in cost. Batteries on the market nowadays, easily $10,000 to $15,000 minimum. So something to keep in mind, and at the end of the day, the utility is part of being a battery too. So you pay that interconnection for that service. The other piece is with our going solar is that you can actually have your electric vehicle powered by your roof. And so it's a really great part of the program. And I should say, with joining the solar co-op, not only can you go solar, there will be battery options, as well as you can install an EV charger at your home, so a 240 volt outlet. Level 2 chargers charge up to 6 times faster than a regular outlet. So on average, it's between 10 to 30 miles of charge per hour. And you have a typical warranty of 3 years. So generally, if you plug into your car overnight, you should be set to drive in the morning. And there's a lot of flexibility. It's basically wherever you can wire an outlet. So you can have it interior, exterior. It could be on a wall mount or a pedestal. And the one caveat is that you do need amperage to make sure that you do have the juice to power your car. So if your panel's out of date, that's one of the things to consider updating it for, to make sure that you do have that amperage available. There are some inverters that offer a charger combo, so they can direct energy to your car at certain times. They can even tie into battery storage. So these systems are getting smarter and smarter. They can be plugged into network capacity or capabilities, so you can activate it through Wi-Fi. And in some cases, you can even tie it to public access. The other thing I'll say is on the market, we are starting to see bi-directional chargers. And so the way that works, like with the Ford Lightning, is you can plug in and then you can store the energy. You can use it as backup for your house, and then you can even sell it back to the grid. Those, just to emphasize, they're being talked about. Ford Lightning is one of the first ones. They aren't on the market quite yet. So people are getting excited about them, and we're watching very closely that technology evolve, but the electrical code's not even caught up to what that looks like. So stay tuned. There's some exciting stuff happening there. So the cost of EV chargers is $500, $700 to wire that outlet, and then the installation as well. If you don't know what EV you're getting, I would say hold off on actually getting the charger unit until you know what brand of car. But either way, you'll be able to make sure you have the access to the power when you're ready. So couple of highlights of the benefits: you can run your car with your solar energy, so you can drive by that $5 per gallon gas station. You have fewer brake jobs due to regenerative braking, so it tends to prolong the life. You don't need oil changes, and then there are savings of $600, $900 plus, depending on how expensive gas is. So as you offset the cost of electricity versus the increased cost of gas. So there's a lot that you can get with your solar system or your EV, and you can even accelerate your payoff of your solar system by having the EV tied to it. So I know it's a lot of information. I'll just answer a few questions we often hear, and then would love to bring it to the audience to see what questions you have. First and foremost, when we talk about solar, what are the warranties that apply? There are three main warranties. One is the manufacturer's warranty, and that generally says that there won't be any defects or issues with the panels. Those tend to be anywhere from 10 to 25 years. The second one is the installer's warranty, or the workmanship warranty. So when they're going up there and doing the roofing work, or if they're tying into your electric meter, all of that's covered with their insurance and their warranty, and that's anywhere from 10 to 25 years. And then lastly, what's a little different is a power production warranty. And what this states is that your solar system is guaranteed to produce a certain level of electricity over 25 years. The industry standard is 80%. So if you have a 10 kilowatt solar system after 25 years, it shouldn't produce anything less than 8 kilowatts worth of capacity. We do see some products that go up to, I think, 92 or 93%. So depending on what the equipment offering is, there's options available there in the market. We also encourage people to always reach out to their insurance company when you're looking to go solar, just to make sure you're fully covered. Some insurance companies might even offer you a discount. I can tell you in my own personal case, I installed solar on my detached garage, and I did slightly increase, like $1 per month, my coverage there, just to make sure I could recoup the cost of, in case anything happens to my garage. Maintenance systems are generally low maintenance. If you have a string inverter, typically the lifetime for those is anywhere between 12 to 13 years or so. So we do recommend looking at the extended warranty for that. But otherwise, I would say in our market, when we have lots of pollen, or if there's unfortunately lots of smoke, that can accumulate on your panels. It's not necessary. Usually through weather and rain and stuff, it washes off. But if you do find that we have a prolonged period of lots of dust and soot, it doesn't hurt just to hose it down. No need to scrub or any chemicals or anything like that. And then these systems, you hear with the warranties, they're designed to last up to 25 years. I've met people that have solar panels that still work from the 1970s. So generally, these are designed to be a great product to last a very long time. And as we continue to make our houses more efficient and as we electrify, I imagine it's an investment that's going to maybe live as long as the house in some cases. So it's just an exciting time with the maturity of the technology. So in Colorado, homeowners associations cannot prevent you from going solar, but they do have a say of where it goes. So same thing with insurance, reach out to them, start a conversation, work with them. They cannot provide or cause any undue restrictions or costs to the overall process of going solar. So if you do have any issues, reach out to us at Solar United Neighbors. We're here to work with you. I would say out of the 350 people we've helped go solar, maybe 1 or 2 cases we've had a couple of hiccups, but we were able to advocate on behalf of our members. And same thing with a historic district. There's a couple more hoops of fire to jump through, and let us know if there's any hiccups. But I would say so far we've had no issues with historic districts. Lastly, okay, rain and snow, or hail and snow. What does that mean? So we know 2017 we had this little hailstorm that happened to become the most expensive natural disaster in Colorado history. Right there at ground zero is Golden, which is where the National Renewable Energy Lab is. Out of their 3,000 solar panels that were exposed to softball-sized hail, only 1 was damaged and had to be replaced. So it's a very resilient product. Now, I've had to update this talking point because I was informed in Colorado Springs at the military base there, they had 1 solar field that was exposed to like 3 or 4 or 5 major hailstorms back to back to back. And finally, they had to replace the system. That was an insurable event. But regardless, unless you have a freak circumstance like that, generally these are rated for hail. It's not a big issue. And if you do have to have, if you get hail damage on your roof but not your solar system, insurance will cover the cost to remove it, replace your roof, and then reinstall the solar system. And then lastly, with snow, something to keep in mind is where your solar system goes is with snow loads, it tends to shed and slide off. So if you have trash cans or cars or front porch, just be mindful of that. Generally, it's not a big issue, but that's something to know about. So with that, I am glad to pause and see if there's any questions, both from the audience here as well as the audience online. Yes. So the question for folks online is, with battery storage, can you use the batteries to kind of offset how much electricity you need from the grid and kind of make the most use of your solar production versus the cost of electricity, given that it changes over time? And this is similar to your question, I believe, too. I will loop back to the economics of that and talk about time of use. The answer is yes, it can provide savings. The math doesn't quite get to the point that it pays for itself in any way, but it could accelerate, but the additional cost of getting the battery itself is pretty high. I would say generally, there are reasons to get batteries, but if you're happy to connect to the grid and Excel's pretty reliable, or at least responsive if there's an outage, I would say there's probably a few more years for the battery storage industry to kind of catch up and streamline themselves. So the question is, with where the market's going, can batteries be added to the system later? Yes, they can be. It never hurts to talk about what your planning is for going with your solar system and with your house in general, so they can design a system that works for you. So if you plan to, say, electrify your home, or if you want to have battery storage, they can make sure they can get you the right products that can loop in with the battery storage. So like you can get an inverter ahead of time that will be able to provide that service. Nick, I see, if our roof needs replacing, should we plan on doing that before solar, or do installers also contract for that? So installers sometimes do subcontract with roofers. We do recommend, if your roof is over 10 years old, especially if it's an asphalt shingle roof, to consider replacing your roof first, because the last thing you want to do is, if you don't have a hail insured event, you'll be on the hook for the cost of replacing, removing and reinstalling your solar system. So that's anywhere from $100 to $200 per panel, usually a couple $1,000s per system. So just be aware of that. In the case of HOAs, a lot of times they set up an agreement where you basically be on the hook at any point. If they decide to replace a roof for whatever reason, you would have to pay that. So those are some of the hoops we've learned over time, but again, we're here to be a resource if you have any issues or questions. Solar has changed dramatically in the last several decades, and even the last decade. And so this graph shows from the 1970s to essentially today, but even from 2010, the price of solar has dropped another 90%. So it really highlights that solar is no longer a specialty or boutique project. It has a pretty solid return on investment, similar to a CD or a bond. And especially right now, there is the 26% federal tax credit. I will caveat to say that it's likely most members that sign up with the Denver co-op are probably going to be installed going into next year, where it's going to be a 22% tax credit. So just assume that's the case now, because unfortunately, we don't, right now, based on recent news with Congress, we don't anticipate that this is going to be extended any further for now. And then solar co-ops, part of our model is the fact that we do see, as you can see, the system components are levelizing out. That means it's a mature technology. They know how to build these things, whether it's in China or Canada or here, they know how to make it happen. But what remains very high are the soft costs. Soft costs are literally thousands of dollars for an installer to go out into the community, find potential leads, have conversations at the kitchen table or over Zoom, and ultimately lock in a contract. And so our role as Solar United Neighbors is to provide community education, doing events like this, and facilitating this broader process. So it can literally save thousands of dollars per customer. And for full transparency, we're paid both through the City and County of Denver, through grants we receive there, and then for every contract that's signed, we do get a $600 development fee. And so that's from those savings that are passed on to our customers, and then it supports us in the mission we do. So as I said, this is the trajectory of the tax credit, unfortunately. Howdy, it's Bryce from the future. I'm coming back to let you know that since we recorded this video, the Inflation Reduction Act has passed. What that means is that the tax credit we referred to in this presentation is now at 30% instead of 26%. It's actually locked in at 30% for the next 10 years. In addition, what's really exciting is that nonprofits and local governments can actually get a 30% rebate with the tax credit. So starting next year, January 1st, you'll be able to, if you're a church or other nonprofit entity, be able to take 30% off of your solar project. So we'll know more information from the IRS as they finalize the rules around that over the next couple months, but look out for that for next year. I also want to note that due to all the various rebates with the City and County of Denver, they are evolving, and to check the Denver's website just to make sure the information we reference in this presentation is up to date for what you're looking up. So just a couple of quick updates as you're watching this presentation, and thanks so much. All right, this is what everyone wants to know about is time of use. I'll go through this, and then I know there was a recent Colorado Sun article I'll acknowledge as well regarding this pricing. So I'll talk about it first and then talk about what we know with Excel. But first and foremost, Excel, for anyone that has recently received a new meter, they have a white cover. It is a smart meter that's able to calculate and change the rate of electricity throughout the day. So there are different pricing tariffs. It changes by season as well as it changes by time of day. They have off-peak, shoulder periods, and on-peak, and I'll show you a graph that highlights that. What's supposed to happen is net metering, with each tiered rate, you get 1-to-1 credit up to 100% of your demand. So if you have peak pricing and you're producing solar at the same time, you get that 1-to-1 price. And then if you overflow, that credit basically helps offset the shoulder and off-peak pricing. And then yes, battery storage can further offset this. Again, the cost of it can help, but like over the 10-year life of the battery, it's not quite there to be economical. So this is the current tariff scheme that Xcel Energy has. And so what you can see in the blue are the winter numbers, and then in the orange are the summer pricing. And so over winter, you have a 1.7 bridge between the off-peak to the on-peak. And then from summer, you have from 10 cents going up to 28 cents from off-peak to on-peak. I believe these are still the same numbers. I mean, I have to double check that just to make sure, but you can see again, 10 cents, 19 cents, and 28 cents. And so again, if you produce electricity at this time and then you overflow, like if you have excess credit, it can help cover everything else. Another way to look at it is this way. You can see throughout the day, thinking about what types of things you use with electricity. So from 7 o'clock through essentially 1 p.m., that's the time to charge your car, do your dishes and laundry, air condition your house, charge up your battery. And then as you slope up to the peak time, that's when, one, your solar system is going to be producing electricity, yay. And then two, that's when you want to offset your battery and do anything else that's energy saving and avoid using heavy equipment. All right, so let's talk numbers. So this is pricing that we see, just basically average Colorado pricing. This does not reflect necessarily the co-op pricing. So we do see savings beyond these numbers. And this average is, we calculated the average energy use for the average Denver home on Excel's grid, and then calculated what size system would need to offset 100%. So that's where this number came from. And so this is like the ultimate average solar system you can expect. So they can be higher or lower. What you see here is that you have that the solar pricing. So if you do essentially a 5 kilowatt system times $3.20, you get between $15,000 to $16,000. And then between now and next year, there's again a 26% tax credit. It's going to go down to 22%. I don't have that math on hand, but I think it's closer to $3,000 that you get credit for. And then that's your net cost. Just to say with the tax credit, know that it's in your tax year. So if you install your system at the beginning of next year, you have to wait a year to get that money back. It sucks. And that's one of the things that we are trying to also advocate for is an instant rebate instead of a tax credit. And then you can see the projected savings over time. And then generally this payback period, it says 12.6 years, but again, time of use and the price of electricity, it's very behavior centric now with time of use. So thinking about your system over time, there are behaviors and things you can do that accelerate this. And then thinking about even your electric vehicle, you're offsetting gas, so that ties in this too. Yeah, so if your tax bill does not equal your tax credit, you can either take more money out, or you can even have it, I think up to 5 years, you can extend out the payment. But my official answer is always talk to your tax accountant. regardless of the co-op, there's going to be a lot of demand. We saw this a couple of years ago where the industry and procurement of panels, there gets to be a rush at the end of the year. So we're going to do our best to make sure that, through the selection process and the installer is selected, there's panel secured and we're ready to install, and hopefully can install in a quick timeline, but we won't know until the installer is selected and move from there. But regardless, our hope is people that are first in, first out, we can begin those installations in the short term. And of course, one thing to note is, all right, so if you're at 100% AMI, which again is 117,000 for a family of 4, for a family of 1, I believe it's a household income of $81,000 or less. Essentially, you can take off $8,000 from this. It is limited. We have 30 households that we can support with this program right now. Obviously, we want to see that expand, but we want to make sure that this is something that folks can take advantage of. And so again, that's the Denver Solar Equity Rebate. You've heard us talk about a couple of times now. It is funded by the Climate Protection Fund. It's available, again, to members under 100% area median income, and it's $117,200. And yeah, in addition, when you sign up, we will be able to let you know if you are qualified for other programs. So as you heard, if you're below 80%, you could probably even get a energy audit, electrification and heat pumps and other efficiency upgrades, and solar all for free. So obviously, you may have to wait a little longer on that wait list, but regardless, we want to make sure that you are aware of your options. So one caveat, and there is some confusion, we'll just emphasize this, is that this program, the Solar Equity Rebate, is its own funding stream from the Protection Fund, and it's unrelated to the climate action rebates. So if you go on Denver's website, and there's a bunch of rebates that are stacked together. So if you get a heat pump and go solar, you can get $4,000. If you get a heat pump and have a upgrade to your solar or electrical panel, you can get up to $2,000. Those do not apply for our program unless you get a heat pump and go solar for the co-op. Then if you qualify for AMI, you get up to $8,000. So see the city for that, talk to Energy Resource Center and our friends at Grid to learn more about it. Regardless, our goal is just to help direct people to all these amazing resources. And then if you are to take a loan, in addition, once you, for the amount that you need to finance, this is just kind of some general terms that you can see. And depending on the length of the loan, you might be able to realize a positive net savings for your system. And as you heard from Jeff a little earlier, we do have this, they have this product offered from the Colorado Clean Energy Fund. I will emphasize we are vendor neutral, so this is something that's being offered to our members that especially we want to highlight because of the equity components. But we do have other resources online that you can check out to see what other financing options there are. But for this loan, you can see up to $20,000, up to 20 years, not to exceed 4.99% APR. So again, if you want to learn more about other loan options, we do have a website, solar9neighbors.org/financing. We have the solar equity loan available. We have also, well, not we, but the industry has an option where they can do a third-party lease or ownership model. We always encourage people to read the fine print. It sometimes can be tricky. You may have to buy out the system if you ever sell your home. I also tend to do the math when the door knockers come and let them know that, well, if I went with your model, I'm paying you $5,000 profit for your financing when I could do it myself. So do the math. If you have questions about any offerings like that, let us know. We're happy to do the math with you. Generally, third-party ownership, it's not inherently bad, though there are a lot of aggressive installers using that model, going door to door. I would say generally, if you have a rental unit, if you're just only caring about cash flow, it's not a bad idea. But again, there's other ways you can finance it yourself. Lastly, there are grants. So we talked about solar equity rebate. I don't think Denver has areas in this, but just for general sake, there is the Rural Energy for America program where you can actually get additional grant funding. So if you do any agriculture, there might be some funding for you there. So again, loans, you can go for your installer or on your own. You can use a home equity line of credit if you refinance or refinance to include your solar system. You can use the installer's financing. Solar United Neighbors does have, is on the member list for the Clean Energy Credit Union and the Community First Credit Union. So those are options as well for our members in addition to the offers from the Colorado Clean Energy Fund. So the Colorado Renew loan as well as the solar equity loan. You know, again, we have lots of different options available to folks. So yeah, let me pause there. Any questions on financing? Alrighty, so let's wrap up with our last section here. So how solar co-ops work. Solar co-op is one of the best ways to get the best value on your installation. You get support throughout the process from us. And if any issues come up, we're here to be your advocate. You can also connect with fellow solar enthusiasts. So in person and online, we want to do networking. We've done solar trivia. We're excited to do some tours in the future. So stay tuned, and we are always looking for folks to help build out our engagement program. And then you become part of the growing solar movement. So if you want to help write letters about Excel and what they're doing, or if you want to talk about the ITC and the tax credit going down, you can be part of that. Or if you just want to go solar and say, see ya, that's welcome too. So with this co-op, today is our official launch day. We're really excited to be moving forward with this. This is our very first information session, which again will be online. We also have our next information session over at the Stanley Marketplace. So we'll be out there on August 2nd. You can register online. That'll be combined with our Adams County Solar Co-op, which is also open right now. But again, you're welcome to review all of our information and help spread the word. We have released our request for proposal, which I'll talk about in a second, for installers to bid into this co-op. So we actually already have 60 members that have joined. We have a wait list of 130 people that we're excited to know about when we are opening up. So there's already a lot of excitement. Our goal is to recruit 200 people for this round. And then we will be signing people up all the way until October 1st. For this co-op, we will likely select 2 installers to work with 2 different cohorts. So the first cohort in chronological order will serve the first 100 people and then the second 100 people. So we'll work with that depending how quickly we reach 200 people or more. So again, that's what to expect. And then the sign-up deadline by October 1st and go from there. But ultimately, it comes down to our members to review the bids and then select those installers that serve the group. And we facilitate it. So we go through and answer all the questions that folks have. And to emphasize, any member can join our selection committee. So we'll be scheduling that in the near term. So in terms of what's next, sign up. Again, it's free. There's no obligation. Our website, solar-united-neighbors.org/Denver. Tell your friends, neighbors. We have yard signs here in the room, but also online. Let us know if you would like any information. Our yard signs, we can always deliver those. And in addition, for everyone here, we have flyers and stuff. So for your local coffee shop, it's a huge help to us just to put that up on the bulletin board, because that's really what's going to help spread the word is word of mouth. We're not just another installer, we're actually a nonprofit here to serve the community. And to wrap up, I really want to emphasize, in terms of advocacy, we know that there's a lot of work needs to be done, and we have a goal of how do we get 1 in 4 homes in the United States moving towards solar, whether it's rooftop or community solar. And so we know we're facing really urgent issues, whether you're talking about climate change, talking about economic downturn and inflation and all the challenges we're facing there, and then social injustice and systems of oppression that have impacted communities for generations. This is not going to be resolved through just one large policy, but our 30 million solar homes movement is about advocating for multiple policies. Let's move that tax rebate or tax credit into an instant rebate, so everyone, including nonprofits, can take advantage of it. Let's make sure that we extend the tax credit, so that way it's back up to 30% for the next 10 years, because that's at minimum what we need to do to continue to grow. So as an organization, we're doing the advocacy. Feel free to check it out at 30millionsolarhomes.org, and you can talk to your member of Congress about why this is important. So feel free to help outreach, because this is a critical part of what we do, and making sure long-term everyone's able to get fair credit for the solar system. So with that, I am Bryce. I'm the Colorado Program Director, and really appreciate everyone's time tonight.